What up, Snerds? Today we're going back in time for our Watch Out Now review.
We're digging into the 2000 hip-hop documentary Backstage to look at the chaos, the craft, and the culture that define the 1999 Hard Knock Life Tour.
With performances and behind-the-scenes peeks at Jay-Z, DMX, Ja Rule, and so many legends in hip-hop, we'll be discussing our thoughts and feelings on this classic doc.
Joining us to break it all down are Wordplay TJ and Icarus Gray from the No Rhyme or Reason podcast.
Who brings the fiercest performance energy? Which moments still hit today? And which ones feel frozen in time?
All that and more, including Wordplay TJ and Icarus Gray,
on today's bonus episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast.
Hey, Maurice and Odie gonna take over like Zach and Cody. Black and Snerdy is the best podcast, gonna boom like Wile E. Coyote. Gonna meet magic, they move like they hairy. Ain't talking about mental health, no, it's not scary. You know that she coming up with the astrology. Mo got a comic and that's the best policy. Maurice the goat, talking about animation cause you know. Odie, she moving way, we like the boat. Watching some movies and she's taking notes. Yeah, kick back, listen. Black and Snerdy have risen. Upload on a mission. 5 stars, never dissing. Black and Snerdy, ooh. Black and Snerdy, yeah. Black and Snerdy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast, the only podcast where two sexy black nerds get together to shoot the shit. I am Mo AKA Kid Licorish.
and I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Snerds on a bonus episode
Bonus
of the Black and Snerdy podcast. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, except for my hair's falling out of my ponytail.
I mean,
Sorry.
it's fine. It's the it comes with the territory of having, you know, this hairstyle.
It does.
Is this like a recent thing or?
No, I just put it up in there because it's so hot.
Yeah, it is hot.
Freaking 1,000,000 degrees.
Yeah, it's extremely hot right now. And we're in one of the hottest cities in the I was gonna say the world, but I'm not that well traveled.
Literally and figuratively, the hottest spot to be at right now, one of them, is New York City.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons, but right now it's because of freaking climate change. It's too hot. It's only July. This is 2 more months.
Yes.
And it's hot, it's muggy, it's gross. I hate that. But I love the summertime, obviously. I don't want it to be winter. I hate the winter, barf. But this is just untenable.
I mean, I prefer to be on somebody's beach.
Of course. We should be on. First of all, this is another reason why the colonizers must fail.
Yeah.
Because without them, I would probably be in Lakey on a beach, living my best life, drinking some sort of papaya, mango, pineapple mixture, enjoying myself free and clear. But instead, I'm in this fucking hellscape, sweaty and annoyed and fucking hot.
Yeah, it's unfortunate how history has shaken out to make us the most uncomfortable we've ever been.
Fun fact, the transatlantic slave trade indeed kicked off the climate change because of the fact that when they were transporting, when they were stealing people from one place and bringing them over to do the slave labor, there were areas like in North Carolina where they cut down all of like the trees and then the swamp areas to make that Carolina gold rice. So that was like a Kickstarter of the climate change that we're dealing with right now. We are all 6 degrees away from the impacts of white supremacy. Always.
Yeah.
There's never a time when you see something shitty happening, you could probably boop, 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 right back to it.
Yes, we're 6 degrees away from those impacts, and we are 5 steps from eternity.
Yes, we are.
But yeah, did I already ask you how you're doing, or did you even ask me how I'm doing?
You did ask me how I was doing.
You're muggy.
I'm muggy and I'm hot and I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
But how are you doing?
I am okay. Overall, I have some grievances which I will get into when that section calls for it. But overall, like I'm in a really productive mode. I'm getting a lot of shit done, both like for the podcast, around the podcast, and in my personal life. And admittedly, I can see how it is taking a toll on my physical and mental health. But work got to get done. I've been texting all of my friends. Ain't no rest for the wicked. Money don't grow on trees. I've got bills to pay. I got mouths to feed. Ain't nothing in this world for free. You know the song I'm referencing.
Yes,
right?
I do.
Oh, okay. I just thought you were going to jump in with the rest of it.
Oh, I don't know the lyrics. I know the song.
Okay. All right.
I am not a genius bar.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair.
But there's one thing that I am actually excited about.
Yes, I am also excited because today, joining the pantheon of the Snerdyverse, which we have been coining.
Snerdyverse.
We have had the pleasure of making acquaintances with two gentlemen from the No Rhyme or Reason podcast. They're dope as hell, and I'm happy that they're here. We have Wordplay TJ and Icarus Gray from the No Rhyme or Reason podcast.
What's happening?
Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all so much for being here. How are y'all doing today?
I'm doing great, actually. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be here with y'all and having this conversation, getting some work done, being productive, and glad it's not sweltering hot the way it is in Brooklyn.
I am, as the new parents say, I'm in these toddler trenches, so I'm working on trying to teach shapes and colors and all kinds of things. So it's like, yeah, so I'm in a good space, honestly.
I love that for you.
I love that phase. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, look, I don't have kids and I don't work with kids. So like, I it's only like an outsider's view looking in. Like, I'm sure that the enjoyment factor of that kind of phase like outweighs the annoyances. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up.
It's cool watching
It's fair.
grow. Like my niece and nephew are both toddlers. One of them's 3, the other one's a year and a half. The 1.5-year-old is now in the phase where, because she loves her auntie so much, whenever I call my sister, she steals the phone and won't let her talk to me because she's like, no, mine. And I'm like, oh, I am yours. But I feel like it's fun watching them go from like little blobs of clay to start thinking their own personalities. And I think that, like, of course, because our society is so fast paced, that it can sometimes, I'm sure, be like a frustrating thing because you have to like really pause and stop so that they could actually learn the thing. Because you can't just be like, never mind, I'm going to do it, because they're never going to learn. But once they do, I'm like, this is cool. Like, this is the joy that people talk about, like seeing them actually get something.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
Kids are great. Kids are great when they don't act like adults.
Yeah.
Big facts. Big
yes.
facts.
As a teacher, I can agree.
But again, thank y'all for being on here. Let's kick things off real quick with like introductions. I want to learn a little bit more about y'all. I'm sure our audience wants to learn a little bit more about y'all and your podcast. How did y'all get started in the podcast space?
Wow. So I'll take this one. It was 10 years ago, around the time of Trump's first election, and we wanted to talk about things. We are both MCs. We've known each other since first grade, and we've had the opportunity to kind of talk about some things that are happening in the world. And we said, what do we want to do with that conversation? We wanted to take it from the lens of, a couple of rappers and Black nerds and just kind of shine a light on things in common culture. And so that's kind of what we've been doing. I don't know if you got anything to add, Icarus.
The only thing I would add is just, it was like one of those necessity things because it was super early. There were only like there was a Joe Budden podcast, there was a couple others, and it was like, I remember having the conversation. I was like, I want to do this. I know we can do this. And it's like, I want to talk about everything for no reason at all.
No, I think that's great of like having that sometimes the worst things can be the impetus to like greatness, and like giving you a reason. Because I think that around that time, a lot of people are like, actually, there's a lot of people who need to actually know more and be informed. And especially, like we always say, Black people are not a monolith. We have various different perspectives. And even though there's a lot of things that do impact us all, I think it's good to be able to hear from people who are talking about different things, giving you that different perspective. So even if you may not agree with everything, but you can always come back, and be able to say like, okay, that made sense. I appreciated that. And so I know you said like you started off wanting to kind of just talk about everything. How did you narrow it down to now being more focused towards doing music?
YouTube forced us to.
And
there's an audience that we cater to, and even though we had a target to begin with, we ended up having conversations that were different, just simply because the algorithm would cater to certain things. And I think we wanted to make sure that we didn't fall into like the shade room or those types of buckets, because there's already a lane for that, but that's not us. And so we thought about like the people that we actually connect with, which are usually like family people that have working lives, that enjoy hip hop, enjoy Black culture, and then like the intersection of any other thing that crosses our path.
They hate when we talk gaming. It makes me so sad.
But that's so odd, because I feel like even before you had like, like Meg Thee Stallion or any of the other rappers who have come out as like loving kind of like the nerdy stuff, like anime and gaming and things, I feel like growing up, it was a lot of the guys who were like super hood, like rappers doing all this stuff. They liked gaming. They liked like Dragon Ball Z and all that. And maybe they weren't like outside wearing it on their clothes, but I mean, there's a reason why was it Lot 45 that used to always have the like Daffy Duck and the Looney Tunes.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like that was huge. And it was, I think to me, that was like a precursor to wearing like the anime clothes, right? Because you're still like connecting to something that's like for kids or whatever. So it's interesting that there would be a little bit of a pushback against that.
It's mostly because we started with like the strategy of 2-3 topics, do about an hour, however long we're doing this. This is when the algorithm is setting you up, but we're not maximizing or min-maxing like titles and all those things. It's just like whatever we thought we should name the title, right? So then by the time we actually get some traction is when we do a review of games Eminem diss. And we were just exasperated by how bad it was. Like the longer the episode went on, the worse it got, and that just caught fire. And so we tried to do other topics, and it would be like 2 views, 5 views. We're like, well, we can't talk about those things all the time. Like, as I'll just keep playing games over here. I'll start a Twitch. I'll do this, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The algorithm tells you people what they like, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like for us, like, I think we are kind of like feeling that sort of pressure when it comes to what the algorithm is dictating us to pull us in one direction or another. So yeah, like I can relate as well. I wanted to ask y'all, like, when it comes to hip hop, like, are there any sort of like we've sort of transitioned as far as eras from maybe like what we were growing up with to where we are at now. Are there any like artists or any sort of hip hop albums that have come out recently that are like on your radar that y'all would recommend?
Yes, definitely. You want to go first?
If you have not listened to Vince Staples' Crybaby, you are missing out. Tierra Whack dropped. I love that Tierra Whack album. Rapsody is coming next month. Stop playing with us. Stop playing with us. Stop playing with her. And I think that's it for me in terms of my recommendations. What you get, T?
Yeah, so I love the J. Cole album. I love Vince Staples' last project prior to this one. Anything but Drake.
Honestly, yes. And it's sad, because when we're going to be talking about the Backstage doc, but it's like you think of the people on this doc and how they've been able to, for the most part, keep a good, solid career and legacy in hip hop. And he has just kind of thrown his away because he is constantly catering to the high schoolers and college students that he was catering to when he first came out. And there's no real growth or change. It's just every time you want to put out this 1,000-song album or split it into multiples, but you're giving us nothing. We're still hungry. The children need to eat. And it's very frustrating, especially as someone who used to be a huge Drake fan. Like we've said before, he was the soundtrack of college in our early 20s. And now I'm just yeah, all right. Thanks for boring me. Can I have my 3 hours back? Because I could have been doing something else. I could have been washing and detangling and twisting out my hair in that amount of time. And I would have, I hate doing that, but I would prefer doing that than to ever go back and listen to those last 3 Drake albums.
He made a decision. He knew that he wanted to be a pop star.
Mm-hmm.
And that is all that he is. And that if that's what you want, then you can have it.
Oh no, continue. Sorry.
No, my thought was over.
It made me think about someone said that Drake is the character or Brew Graham is the man. And I think that is very much true. It's just a persona for him. It's not something that he's even though he says I live this, I'm true to this. You're not. It's just you just jumped in because it was cool and you've been able to ride out on that for all these years because all the, now the incel group, they love you so much and they're never going to let you go. So you're always going to have your fans and your stands.
But all 3 though, I don't know, and maybe because I was in the space, but CLB, I like CLB. I like CLB, and I was at least appreciative that he finally was here's an entire rap album versus what I had to do with For All the Dogs, which I have a version which is literally just Scary Hours and the 2 or 3 songs where he rapped. Because I'm when you do this, you still have it, and I know you have it, even if you say on the album that I don't know where it went. No, you can do it, and we'll listen. Look at Cole, that's your man's or was your man's, and he still talks about something he's doing when he was 21 or some dude from down the street, and it hits. So,
I like what you said about the making music for incel culture because he he spends a lot of time catering towards all the issues that he has with women, but he's not talking about what he needs to fix about himself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that sucks. It really sucks.
Yeah. It's almost as if there was somebody who maybe told him some time ago that gave him a list of all of his flaws that maybe he could have examined and maybe took, 2 years to look inward. And instead, he took 2 years and then took the one piece from that song and slapped fucking Future on it and put it on the charts.
And for you to for you to have Future on a song and it not be a banger, it really takes a lot of work to do that because Future may not be my favorite rapper, but I will say he's a great features rapper. That song and with 21 Savage, I was so bored. Give us something. We're starving.
We're not that hungry though.
We're not that hungry
for that.
No, we're not. But I mean, like, I was left depleted after listening to it. I will give him which was the one that I said that was not that bad. Maid of Honor. That one, I think, was the most enjoyable out of the three. Because Habibi was the last one.
Yeah.
That one I hated so much. If I'd never listened to anything on there again in my whole entire life, it would be too soon. So Maid of Honor, whatever the first one was called, I can't even remember it because I've washed it out of my brain. And then Habibi.
You know what's
the way
funny?
You walk, the way that you talk, the way that you dress.
Oh, wait. Hold on.
I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress.
Yep. I've kept that drop in there just in case. You never know. But no. Any sort of final thoughts before we move into our Watch Out Now review, gentlemen?
Yeah,
I feel like we got it.
Yeah, this is the time.
We got it.
All right, fair enough. All right. With that being said, it is time for us to slide on down to our review with Watch Out Now. Watch Out Now. That's right, y'all. Watch Out Now. This is the piece where we review a piece of music, media, film, television, what have you, give our thoughts, feelings, and highlights. And today, as mentioned in the cold opening, we are doing a review of the 2000 documentary Backstage that chronicles the 1999 Hard Knock Life tour.
It's a hard knock life for us. It's a hard knock life for us. Now your turn to finish it.
I mean,
you know the rest of that song.
I do know the rest of that song. You're supposed to jump in. I know.
Leaving me hanging.
I know that, and it doesn't feel great, does it?
It does not. So this documentary, I remember watching it as a kid when it came out, and it was like I was in love. It was amazing. But now, was this the first time for y'all watching this documentary, or have you seen it before?
It was my first.
I believe it was my first, but I also think I'm positive I would have seen it on HBO at some point. But I would not have been watching this for anything other than certain moments.
Yeah, those moments they came right on back. And so like I feel like for me, like as a kid, like one, I remember when the Hard Knock Life tour came to New York, and I was very upset because I couldn't go because my mom was like, absolutely not. I was like 10 years old. You're definitely not going. DMX up there. The night is dark and hell is hot. Guy, no, absolutely not. But watching it back, one, I just love seeing all of them, how like young they were, like just these young men who throughout the entire doc, it just was so much black boy joy, right? It was like there was whimsy, Method Man and Redman floating through the skies, like just enjoying themselves. And I think it's nice to see like these rappers who have been so integral to hip hop, like getting to see them in that young space and seeing like where their heads were. But I also kind of felt like, damn, I don't feel like there are young rappers right now, specifically mainstream popular rappers right now, where if we did a whatever tour doc for them, that it would feel remotely the same. Because I felt like throughout the whole doc, when they're talking about why they got into rap, why they're doing what they're doing, like they were dropping gems and trying to at least speak to the people like, we're doing this because we want to get our families out the hood. Like my best friend just got unalived over a dice game, and we don't want to ever have something stupid like that happening again. So this is what I'm trying to do. And I think that was really dope. And I would love to hear kind of your thoughts on just like the doc as a whole before we get into like little specific pieces.
Sheesh. This doc as a whole reminds me of like when I got to the rapper parts where they're on stage and they're talking. Great. But being backstage, I don't know that I ever needed to go backstage at this age. When I was younger, cool. Oh, great. But like I see, like I immediately was like, ooh, there's a Weinstein on that. Oh,
Yeah.
We caught that too.
God, I said there's two of them on that. I said, oh, dang. And then it's like, because of my lens of seeing Dame and how he talks now, seeing him in the whole conversations and how he talks, I'm like, I get the business moves that he makes, but I also can now see the cracked mindset. But one thing I wanted to do real quick, as you said, that was there was one other time where we got the culmination of like a tour like this, and that would have been that Paradise tour with Drake, Cole, and Kendrick and Future and all of them at that time. Will we get that again? No, 2 years ended that. But as far as the doc, for me, it was just like a lot of like there was, you know, the catch 22 of there's so many good things, but then there's so many problematic things.
I just think Method Man doesn't like cameras. That is what I noticed the most. Is Method Man will put his hand in a camera no matter what the circumstance is, even if he's talking to it. And I feel as if there could have been, to Joe's point, like there could have been like the XXL freshman class tour today, and that would have hit. So like if that band would have stayed together, the Big Crits, the MGKs, the Drake, the Kendrick, the Coles, those folks being together could have brought that same energy in this time.
So and you can clarify if I am misunderstanding what you're saying, but are you saying that for that XL freshman year, that would have been sort of like the last time we possibly would have had sort of like a moment like this, like we saw in Backstage?
Yeah, I don't know if I can say subjectively that was the last time. I think what I'm looking at is kind of like the objective success of many of these individuals between like classes of 2008 and 2010-ish, maybe 2011. Those folks are uber successful, and having those folks come together in modern times to like do a show would be phenomenal. I was doing college radio at the time, and many of those individuals were the ones that I was covering at the moment. Get calls from the label about putting certain folks on the radio. I was doing a hip hop show, and all of that momentum has now like matured. And so what does that look like for those folks to come out and be together?
That makes sense. So for everybody who is listening and watching, we are referring to the Backstage documentary from 2000. It starred Jay-Z, DMX, Method Man, Redman, Memphis Bleek. First off, there were just so many people in the doc, you know. There was like just shining a light on that period of hip hop. And just like as far as like initial thoughts for me, it was weirdly nostalgic just to see like how young everybody was at that time, like in their respective careers at that point. You know, like it was just a wild sort of snapshot to just see where everybody was at. Cause like I even think like and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, like this was taken like relatively early on in Ja Rule's career, and like he looks like a baby in this thing.
He looks like a child. Like most of them, like outside, of course, Jay-Z and DMX, they probably are, and like then like, you know, Method Man and Redman because of like the Wu-Tang connection. Like there were a few of them who had been in the hip hop game for a pretty good time at that point and were very successful. But getting to see like very young in their career, Beanie Sigel, Memphis Bleek, Ja Rule, like that was really cool. And also watching it, I'm like, their personalities, the people who you were seeing there, I feel like are very much the same now. You know, like they've matured and they've grown. But as you said, like watching Dame Dash be an asshole, I'm like, yeah, it tracks that it's exactly how he is right now. And the fact that he was clowning, I think it was Little about his gray teeth, and meanwhile now his dentures are falling out his mouth was pretty ironic to me, and some backwards foreshadowing.
Yeah, roasting Kevin Liles, and then like roasting the president of Rockefeller at the time, saying that like, oh, this is. I'm not saying you're not smart, but this is a dumb decision. Basically.
Yes.
To let Def Jam put a bunch of like jackets on us that just say Def Jam but don't say Rockefeller, and we are the ones that put this tour together.
Yeah.
And now he's making dumb decisions like terrible freestyles.
Hands ain't got no teeth.
I ignored that whole thing for a reason. Come on.
It's interesting because some of them like have definitely gone outside in that way, like have just embarrassed themselves. But then also the like seeing like DMX in his prime and just like R.I.P. He has no business being dead. Honestly, it's just it always hurts my heart. I think that even as a young kid, I loved DMX, and like even though like he was multifaceted. You know, there were some things that you could always get on board with, and there were some things that you'd be like, oh no, sir, like you got to get it together. But I think that his story and his talent and just like who he was, it just hit everybody in their hearts, and like people really loved him because like even though he didn't get a lot of love from maybe the people in his personal life, like growing up, and his story was really hard. But you could see that he kind of had a light to him that he shone across everyone. So getting to see those moments, I'm like, that's what I want to see from these young rappers who are out now, is them actually like not just doing it for the fame and the likes and the follows and all that, but doing it because they have something to say and they have it in them. And there are definitely rappers out there right now that are doing that. It's just unfortunately we don't get to see them, you know, and there's no one's putting together, like we said, a Hard Knock life tour where they can come be seen and get the chance to like shine, because we know that the radio, and I mean, we don't even have like a MTV or BET playing music videos for people to get to them. So it's like, you really have to be pushing yourself so much harder than you did in like the 90s and the early 2000s to be able to, you know, be seen. So I'm curious for y'all, like, what were some of your let's do favorite moments of the film, and then we'll do least favorite moments. Maurice, what was one of your favorite moments?
Actually, I'd like to turn it over to our guest first.
All right. He has to think about it.
I'm gonna just go for me because I was a big Memphis Bleek fan. So seeing Bleek like in the time where I was like, that's my artist. I don't really know nothing about Jay-Z, but Bleek, young kid doing the, you know, like I'm always like the young kid doing the young things. Like I wasn't really a Bow Wow dude. Not really, but I was like, but Bleek, is that your chick? Come on, Timbo. Come on, Timbo. You did the thing. So that was we're just doing favorites, right? You doing that was my favorite moment, is kind of seeing him like be in what was and is his prime.
Mm-hmm.
I think my favorite moment is sort of studying the performance, the live performance. I think that's something that I take seriously as a performer myself, and just like, what does it look like to go on a stage that big? What does it look like to like have to command a room every single night for an hour. And that is something that was insightful for me. So my favorite.
Okay, Odie.
Well, I asked you first.
Okay, fair enough. There actually is a moment. First off, like some of the performances, like I really gravitate towards Method and Red, like just strung up like Peter Pan, just rapping for the crowd, everything like that. I thought that performance in particular was very energetic. But one thing in particular that I really loved at close to the very end of the movie, there's just this little kid who just like busting out a freestyle. I thought that was so. Like, it was adorable, and I don't know, like, for me, it kind of spoke to, like, hip-hop culture in, like, how it's generational, you know what I mean? Like, that generation in 1999 was passing something down, something amazing and iconic was happening in that moment that children were viewing and kind of, like, setting up the next generation to follow, and I just thought that one moment, like, that really touched me. You know?
I mean, that connects to like what Ja Rule was saying in the documentary. Like, hip hop has matured. Like, they grew up with it. They took that in. Like, they had that spirit of the original hip hoppers, and they were bringing that into this next generation and wanting to bring it even further. So I feel like that's definitely the passing of the torch and the wanting this next generation to grow up to see, like, this is how you do it. And then of course that what goes into my favorite moment when DMX gave him his little car that he had been racing.
Yeah.
Because my favorite moment was watching DMX play with his little racing car.
Yeah.
Like, that was such a sweet, wholesome moment, because there were a lot of unwholesome moments.
Yeah, there's some ratchet shit going on
in the doc. Yeah. But seeing him just backstage, like, I'm just hanging out, like, I'm just trying to like play with my stuff. I don't want to talk to people, and maybe like I would give this second favorite moment is when they were in the tour bus, and the documentarians are asking them this question about, like, why do y'all love gangster movies? And the guy was like, we just finished watching Good Will Hunting. Like, he's crying at Titanic. We are multifaceted, and I think like that's another thing that I feel like the young rappers and like kids generation could take on themselves now. Like, these rappers, the reason why they were so good, they were reading. And they were taking in all forms of cultural media. Like, when you hear some of the raps, they could be talking about anything, whether it was Shakespeare and sonnets, or like Al Capone. Like, it was going through kind of everywhere. And that is why, like, sometimes when you're listening to rap these days, like popular rap, it seems so flat, because you're like, y'all don't got nothing to really talk about. And it's boring. It doesn't make us like really want to like move, because you can't pick up that double entendre, and there's no critical thinking. So folks are having a hard time really getting what you're putting down. So now we've all said our favorites. I would like to hear some of your least favorite or parts that could be taken out of the film to make it a little better. And all right, who do we start with first? We started with Icarus before. Mm-hmm. Let's start with TJ.
Yeah, so my least favorite moment are all the Beanie Sigel meme mugs. I feel like he externalizes some need to like intimidate people, and it just felt so unnecessary and forced to me. And I think that karma has come back on him on top of that. And simultaneously, I think another thing is sort of how the documentarians put this story together. It was kind of shot in a kind of fly on the wall scenario, and so I think it lacked a narrative. Like, what are you trying to tell us with this documentary? What import are you trying to give us? Because outside of just sharing a day behind the scenes, I don't feel like they brought the story together very well.
Understandable. All right, Icarus.
I'm gonna go with all the girls gone wild moments because it feels so bad. Like there was one moment, and I know you like where I mean I felt bad for the colonizer in the crowd that was just like they champagne like just, and it was in a way where I'm like the delusion of these situations that we create. And then there's that, the random moment where the girl was like, hey, I ain't gonna do nothing with nobody, but I'll give you some head. And I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And why is this what you want to record?
Yeah.
Like the misogynistic aspect of like how no one saw having this problematic, which is also what made that Weinstein thing. I'm like, of course. You were like, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So seeing that from the lens of an adult and a man who has a daughter, it was just like, yo, man, this was the 90s, and I get it. This is Freaknik and all these other parties and stuff. But yeah, that was my least favorite.
Yeah, it kind of gave me the ick, like when I saw those aspects too. What was your least favorite?
Well, I'm gonna have to piggyback on what Icarus said. The misogyny, the knowing the Weinsteins were behind it, the seeing Diddy, the just seeing the men, I think was it Jay-Z that smushed a girl or smacked a girl in her face or something like that. And I was just like, all of these scenes. And I remember watching this at 10 years old and thinking that's crazy. But it was also a time when Girls Gone Wild was out and people I was seeing it and both being shocked and being like, that's what happens with adults, that's what they're doing. And now looking at it from an adult perspective, sure, these women, they are going back there. They wanted to be in the crowd. They wanted to interact with them and were consenting to some of these things when we see them backstage, but it just was so gross. That's the part that took me out of it. And I just wish that if that could have been out of it, but also it was a part of what they saw and what happened. So in a way, I think it's good to be there because we talk about how when we have some of these documentaries or biopics that come out where they'll scrub it and clean it up and whitewash it. And this is not what it was. We got to see what was going on. And this probably wasn't even all of the things that were happening, because I think it was Beanie Sigel who was laughing about how they're pouring hot water and ice on this woman who was angry at one of the tour mates for whatever reason, but they were just they even put a freaking illustration in there. So we know that whatever we saw on the screen wasn't nearly as much as what was going on in the back of the screen. And I feel like that has that part, the misogyny. It's not new, of course. It's not new to hip hop. It's not new to music. It's not new to the world. And whether or not we are better than that now, I couldn't say. I don't think so. I think if we did have, it's it's going back and forth, but when one of them, I think it was the young Puerto Rican guy who wasn't on the tour with them, but he was just saying he wished he could be on stage because of the power it gives you. People see you, they come off, now they want to hug you. Doesn't matter if you're not Jay-Z, but Jay-Z. So now you've globbed on to what he's got going on. So that definitely, I give it a few thumbs down because of that aspect.
Yeah, that makes sense. And TJ, you made a solid point while I was watching the doc, and I couldn't articulate it at the time while I was watching it, but you actually put it into focus. The sort of construction of the documentary as a whole is it just seemed more like snippets glued together without any sort of narrative through line throughout. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously there are many subjects within the document, within the film, but like there's no real like central figure or central theme or any sort of like central storyline. Like I was left trying to figure out like what was the goal of the actual movie that I just watched. You know what I mean? Like what was my takeaway supposed to be? What were you trying to have the audience take away? You know, like it felt like very messy and unfocused.
You know what? It was kind of,
and I don't mean to sound pretentious. This is the Howard University film degree in me. So, you know,
it kind of was like one big making the video.
But even making the video, it ends with a video.
You're right.
True.
I feel like the way that they tried to set it up was as Jay-Z was like the closer and all of that, which he was for the show. But like they didn't focus enough on him. We didn't really get much of him talking. It was kind of scenes of him just kind of bouncing around and having fun with like the rest of the group. But Dame Dash was talking way more than Jay-Z, which is honestly both of their personalities, I would say. So that I think was like, when I think about other really great documentaries that go across multiple people and not just like music, like Paris is Burning, right? It had like a key point. We knew what we were coming out year for. We knew what they wanted us to leave with, and there was like a connector. So that part just made it feel a little disjointed, you know, a bunch of Instagram stories put into made into a movie.
Basically. Yeah. That's Dame though. That's Dame. Like that is the Dame from it's like he just incepts and already thinks of himself as the best. So there isn't much room for rough draft or critiquing. Like if you go from this to Paper Soldiers or all of these different things that Dame did, even the State Property movie, you're gonna see this unfinished version, but the bravado and the confidence of, well, they do it, I can do it, is literally all that he kind of cares about, because that's the, you know, the whole being a man, like I ain't letting somebody front you a quart of water, you know, like that's his mindset. So that's how he puts it. Like, I'm doing all of this, like I want you to see that we're doing all this, was the narrative of the thing, which is
I think they missed hip hop's maturity. Right. And that word has come up a lot in this conversation. Like they missed hip hop's opportunity market wise to stand with other genres in music. And it's even synonymized by like having Method Man, who's this like classic staple in 90s hip hop, be the person that is like opening for all of these acts within the 2000s.
Yeah. Before we get into rating the overall documentary, I just want to go around and say, like, if there was one takeaway from the documentary, what would it have been for each of y'all? And I want to start with our guests. Let's go with, we started with TJ last time, right? So let's go with Icarus.
My takeaway was this is that time was insane. You're talking Hard Knock Life, DMX with 2 #1 albums in a year, Meth and Redman, Blazing the Streets, Beanie Sigel, the whole, again, it wasn't State Property at the time, but Beanie Sigel and all of them. Like, this is such a highly condensed amount of like raw, unfiltered, good street music that was trying to break out of that, like you said before, that my takeaway is just remembering that passion and making sure that stays in the music. And it's not just always about my emotions. Like, we're going through this rap goth phase is what I call it, where it's like, it's good to have your emotions, but like, what are you going to do with them?
For sure.
Yeah, my perspective is that it'll never happen again. And I think it'll never happen again, not because the artists don't want to do it. I think it's because the billionaire class has us hyper fragmented. we're all like kind of divvied up into buckets of demographics and this and that. And we saw through the doc that there was unification, which is like one of the themes they could have used if they wrote the script a little bit better. But like unification of not just the artist but the audience too, and that audience unification is not something that is current in our media consumption. The algorithms want to chop us up into multiple different blocks, but it's like that is the advantage to the billionaire class and the folks that want to keep the haves from the have-nots.
Right. Odie, your takeaway?
My takeaway is the kind of growth of some of the artists, like seeing Jay-Z's growth from where he was then to now, and how he has, consistently taken things he's done before and like then made them better. Because watching this, like, when we get to the end and he's like the main focus, it made me think a lot of Homecoming, and thinking of like, even though he and Dame are no longer really friends or close or anything like that, the way that they both had impacts on each other, and just the way that they work together, and how like Jay-Z took a lot of the things he may have learned from Dame and saw him doing, took it and then matured it as time went on. And I would hope that more artists could do that, because you're not going to be the same artist you were at 19 as you are at 40, and that's okay. You're not supposed to be. You're supposed to grow, but what can you do to learn and change and mature from when you were younger to keep yourself in the best place to be, and like keeping your legacy what it is? And I think that's something that we can all take away from it. Like, we are not going to be the same as we were before, but we can grow and change and be better and do better, so that we can, keep what we put out into this world better each time.
Sure.
What about you?
For me, hopefully I can articulate this well, from what's in here to what's in here to what's coming out here. I saw this as a snapshot of one of the last times when hip hop was ours. Does that make sense? Like in that doc, like the one thing that struck out to me throughout, regardless of the structure and the framing and the lack of a actual through line and storyline of the documentary itself, was just the shots of the stadiums and the oceans of predominantly Black people just enjoying the music, enjoying hip hop, like, and it made me think of like, it's been so long from like even like the festivals that I've been to, the concerts that I've been to. It's been so long that sort of makeup was there from like a sort of audience standpoint, and that speaks to how far hip hop has come and the trajectory that hip hop has taken, which is, and there's good and there's bad in it, but at the very least, this doc just showed me that, yeah, at that time and that moment, that was just like, that was the culture, like that was our culture. That's just what it was. And it was predominantly us. That was the makeup of that culture, appreciating that art on that stage and those people putting out that music, So that was it for me. We're going to end things with a quick round of ratings. 1 out of 5 Snerds, 5 being this is the dopest shit in the world, and 1 being this thing is terrible and you can miss me with that bullshit. I'm actually going to switch things up and start with Odie. How would you rate this documentary and why?
I am going to give the documentary 3.5 Snerds. The nostalgia was great. The artists were amazing. And it just reminded me of my childhood and growing up, like listening to hip hop and the culture, and like how it impacted everyone in such a positive way. But the negatives are going to be, you know, the misogyny and the shenanigans that were just unnecessary. That definitely took out a lot of it for me, because a lot of those people in the documentary have not learned their lesson and are still doing shenanigans. So yeah, I'm going to give it 3.5 snerds.
Okay. Gentlemen, who wants to go first with their rating?
I'll go. I give it 2 snerds. I think, you know, things I've already said. The narrative is lacking. They're everything that y'all have mentioned so far, and I think simultaneously, like these stories kind of behind the scenes, something that I studied about music and some of the people that I followed within music, and so they didn't offer me anything new with this doc.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, TJ is going to be very surprised by me, but I'm going to give it 2.5 snerds because normally nostalgia is, I give somebody a 5 if the nostalgia feels good, but nostalgia is the only thing that made this movie or documentary even palatable for me. It's because I can like think of the energy, think of the time, think of the concerts, but everything else was just lacking and not giving me anything as a nerd. Like there was nothing that fed into my nerdom other than my nostalgia.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna go with a 2, just a straight up 2. As a snapshot of that time period and like its importance. Yeah, the nostalgia, cool. That's awesome. That's great. As a piece of work, like in and of itself, from beginning to end, like I wouldn't go back and watch this again.
Really?
Like as far as like a piece of entertainment, you know, I saw it. That's great. It's cool. That's awesome. But as far as like the enjoyment factor, the entertainment factor, I appreciate it more for the historical relevance than for its own piece of work as an existing, you know, story in and of itself. So yeah, I'm just flat out 2. That's it.
I'm a lady on her lonely island. I think that the history part, and maybe because I just love history and being able to see people's old diaries and Dear America books, I love having those little pieces of like, this is what we were doing, this was going on, and this is how folks were behaving. And even if like, and maybe because I have seen it so long ago, and that adds to my enjoyment of it. But even though it's like not a lot going on story-wise, I think that I still would keep it as a part of hip-hop history to enjoy as time within its time, and what it was what it was for its time, and I could appreciate that. But I will take all of your 2s and 2.5s because that's your opinion and you are entitled to it.
Absolutely, just as you're entitled to your opinion. What did you give it again? You gave
3.5.
it 3.5. Yes. Everybody is entitled to their opinion. It's so great to hear that the history of this documentary in the level of importance outshined the misogyny.
I did not. No, it did not. No, it did not. Let's
Talk about narrative building.
Ah, man, he built that brick by brick. I was watching it.
I knew it was coming, but I couldn't do anything to stop it. But we all have to come to terms with the things that in nostalgia can sometimes also be problematic, and that's okay because the 90s was a problematic time.
Yes, it was. And that is our Watch Out Now review of Backstage 2000. Moving right along, we are at that point in the podcast where we're annoyed, we're frustrated, we're angry, we're upset, we're pissed, we're perturbed, we're flummoxed. It is time for us to say why we're big mad.
bringing it. What? We gripe it. We're not griping anywhere else. We gripe it. This safe space for us to share. We gripe it. We ain't griping anywhere else. We gripe it.
An appropriate drop for an appropriate doc that we just reviewed.
Shout out to the cookie monster of rap, Ja Rule.
I'm gonna let's start off with our guests. Whoever wants to go first. What is making you big mad at the moment?
The Supreme Court.
Yes.
1000% the Supreme Court. It's time for some reform. It's time for term limits. And it's time to get money out of politics. That's what I got.
Yeah, I'm going any of these. Just being Black in America is I'm just always big mad at this point. You know, I it's weird when you can't even go into a Walmart without feeling away. So I'm real triggered. And even though like we're supposed to be boycotting, you got to go to you got to shop where you was in your range or whatever it is. But that's the part that's being mad at me is kind of like this incessant push that is gaslighting our experience. So where it's like all these things that are happening in front of you are somehow isolated incidents, even though there are multiple of them. So that's what's got me big mad out in these streets.
That's real.
All right.
Odie, what's making you big mad at the moment?
Mine is sports related. The World Cup is happening right now. And one, I'm big mad that England beat the Congo today. That hurt my heart.
Again?
Yeah, I wanted
Sorry.
for all colonizers to fail, but they have been kicking our butts the last 2 days. But also alongside the World Cup, there are so many players who are playing in the World Cup who have weird cases. Why are they around? Some of them have multiple cases. Some of them got cases at the World Cup. And I think that it's just indicative of how like the world does not care about women. Sports especially doesn't care about women. And it doesn't matter how much harm you're causing to your community, as long as you can be out there kicking the ball, throwing a ball, hitting a bat, or whatever the case may be. Folks will let you do whatever the hell you want because you're making them money and they don't care. So that's what's making me big mad. Like I feel like FIFA is already fucked up with their rules and regulations and things that they do in general. They were real fucked up with how they've been treating all of the countries that are not friendly with the US and just not giving them space to be able to be great. And I don't think America should ever be allowed to host a World Cup or huge world sporting event ever again because of how we have been treating the folks. But I just want them to be better, and there need to be rules in there that if you have had allegations, first of all, you shouldn't be allowed to be on the team, but you definitely should not be allowed to travel outside with that team so that you could be causing and inflicting more harm on people as you are supposed to be playing a fun, enjoyable game that is bringing people joy. Mo?
Honestly, it is, at least for me, and I know how this is going to sound, Odie is the, astrology person, right? And I am not. I'm an Aries. That's great, but that's about all I, register when it comes to astrology. Is Mercury in retrograde at this moment in time?
Mercury is currently retrograde.
Yeah.
I went retrograde.
I'm starting to think that there might be some truth to that because for the last few days, I've been having a bunch of issues with the various pieces of technology in my apartment. And it's not just the expensive ass podcast equipment that I poured into this setup. It's my TV. It's Pluto TV. Actually, scratch all the things that I was just saying. Pluto TV, you got to get your shit together. There's no reason why when you're playing your really long, stupid commercials that like the app should just shut down. I'm up here. It's 10 o'clock at night. I'm trying to watch the documentary and I get 15 minutes into the thing. It goes to commercial. The app just dies. I reset, go to the same spot, reset, app dies. That's it. Why do I have to cast it from my iPad to the TV? Then when the commercial comes, put it back on my iPad through the commercials, then put it back on the TV. That is the dumbest shit. It doesn't make sense. Pluto TV, get your shit together. And the rest of the technology during Mercury retrograde, get your shit together. I've had it. I'm tired. And I'm upset. And that's the things that are making us big mad.
Bring it. What? We grind it.
All right, but we don't leave our episodes on a down or sour note. We always like to follow that up with the things that are bringing us joy, comfort, excitement, and happiness. Because we are happy.
I'm the baby merchant. Chops are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I love your baby for you.
Thoughts on the drop?
I think all of your drops, all of your like intro music they're incredible.
Have you ever watched the, I think 1990 or 1991 TV show Cop Rock?
No.
It was a cop musical show.
Okay.
And this is from one of the iconic scenes. I think it only had one season, but honestly, that is the kind of propaganda that I wouldn't have been so mad about. All right, so things that are making us happy. Icarus, what are some?
Man, Monster Hunter Wilds. I have been putting so many hours in this game that I got for Father's Day. I had been so excited for that game since before it came out. Like it was gonna be my gift to myself after my daughter was born, and it came out like 2 or 3 4 months after she was born. And now that I have it, like I've gotten into the bigger hunts. I'm finally getting like the armor pieces that I want, and it's just everything about it is fun. And I've even gotten some people that I stream with on Twitch to like come and play with me. So it's just been great.
Dope. TJ?
I'm happy to be making some music. Just knocked out a ton of beats for both myself and Icarus Gray. And I think being in that creative space and not in the classroom right now has been very relieving.
That's fantastic.
Mo.
Odie. Want to do rock, paper, scissors, sport? No, I will go. I will go. It's fine. As always, I always start off by saying I appreciate doing this podcast with you. That's what's making me happy. Doing this podcast in general, having 2 dope ass guests on our show is making me happy. But I am playing, or I should say replaying Ghost of Yotei again. That game is a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of the story. And this is the first time in a long time where I felt comfortable enough in the game mechanics to change the level to 1 step higher than what my normal comfort is. And it is kicking my ass and making me feel old, which is fine because that I like the challenge. You know what I mean? And I finally got to the section of the game where like I had to do this stuff to get to a legendary swordsman, and I'm about to confront him for maybe the 37th time. He keeps beating me, but I'm still enjoying the game. It's a lot of fun, so highly recommended. What about you?
Number one, of course, I'm happy to be doing this podcast with you. I'm happy that we have guests on here that are super cool, and I'm just so happy that y'all came to spend your time with us today. And I think that one of the main things I'm happy for this week, it's pretty small, but school's out for summer. So I no longer have to wake up at 6 a.m. every day. And I'm not doing summer school right now. So I'm just happy to be able to have a little bit of rest in between all the podcast things. So yeah, that's what's making me happy.
Sounds good. And that is what's making all of us happy.
I'm the baby merchant. Tots are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I'll have your baby for you.
Folks, I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. Gentlemen, where can people find you and your podcast?
Yeah, the best place to find us is at No Rhyme or Reason Podcast on YouTube. And then follow us on our individual social media pages at Wordplay TJ and Icarus _Gray on Instagram.
Dope.
Oh, okay.
Do you have anything that you want to share? Anything coming up?
Yeah, and do either of y'all have any like projects that y'all want to share as well?
My debut album that's been out for 3 years. I say it's still just gonna be debut to somebody. Gray Matter by Icarus Gray, fully or 90-something% produced by Wordplay TJ. Shout out to my dog Typhon for the other record, but that is out now. And we're about to start our little summer classic series here in July, so you'll be getting those episodes on our podcast. So be sure to check them out.
Yeah. And I would say for all of my music, folks can find that on every streaming platform that there is. I have 9 different independent albums that are out there. So take your time, listen to them all. If you're looking for me on social media or whatever you're looking for, look for Wordplay T.jay.
Fantastic. Well, folks, again, I want to thank y'all for joining the episode. I want to say a special thanks to TJ and Icarus for being a part of this episode and being part of the Black and Snerdy family. Of course, thank you, Odie, for always being the dopest partner I've ever had. Until next time, take it easy, keep it sleazy. Bye!
Thanks for listening, Nerds.
Keep the show growing. Listen, comment, and download on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or watch full episodes on YouTube.
Follow the show at Black and Snerdy.
Follow me at Licorice is Legit.
Find me at That'sOD_E on Twitter and at That'sOD.E on Instagram.
This is the Black and Snerdy Podcast,
where nerds of a feather flock together.